let's take a look at how to set some of our geoprocessing environments. In this video, we are going to specifically look at how to set our processing extent. So here we are looking at our example for the site suitability analysis for a community garden in Chula Vista. And already we went ahead and created some buffers around some of our points of interest. We'll look specifically in this example at the child care centers layer. We want our community garden to be ideally located within a half mile of different child care centers. So this buffer that you're looking at in red is that buffer a half mile distance. The boundaries for the buffers have been dissolved. So it's showing us all the areas within Chula Vista that would fall within the within that half mile or would be a good candidate for our site suitability. Now we need to turn this, we need to turn this data into our raster data set for our site suitability analysis. To do that, we are first going to start by setting some environments. In our raster analysis throughout this class, we use a lot of environments. Environments help control the outputs of our various geoprocessing tools, and I find that it's really helpful to use them with raster data to ensure things like common cell size, consistent consistent processing extent, output coordinates, all those things. So you can set the environments for your entire project by going under the Analysis tab, the Geoprocessing group, and into the Environments button. And in here you can see all the different environments that you could possibly set for your analysis. Things like I've set the output coordinate system to always be in the Chula Vista coordinate system. You can set your workspace here. But let's start with let's start with our processing extent. So the processing extent, if you click on that info or hover over the info, it'll give you a lot of information, but this is basically how we're defining the geographic area of our analysis. So it's what our output is going to look like. The extent is it's defined as a rectangle, and it takes the X and Y coordinates of all of your data to come up with a minimum and maximum of that extent. You can think of this as like one big rectangle. So let's look at our data for the child care center. If you ever wanted to know what the extent of your data was, you can go under your properties, under the source tab, and see sort of those XY coordinates for for the top, the bottom of the image, the left and the right side of your data. So we can pull up we have our child care extents here. We can see that they're different from the Chula Vista boundary. And we know that we want our data to cover all of the Chula Vista geographic area. So this allows us to, by setting the processing extent, we'll make sure that we don't have gaps in our data or that it's covering the entire area. So we can see from the extents in our metadata that the child care center is smaller on the top and the right and a little bit wider on the bottom and the left. So we want to make sure that these areas where it's less than, or XY coordinates are smaller, making a smaller rectangle, are actually covered. The default for this environment is the current extent of your data. So we can see what would happen if we just run our polygon to raster tool without setting any environments. Let me check it. Yep, okay. So we can put in our inputs for our buffer data. We can name the output. I just changed the cell size to keep it consistent in the tool, and we can click Run, and we can see how it will create the output to the extent of the childcare data, childcare buffer data, I should say. All right, actually, so we can see the output. I am going to quickly adjust the symbology. So you can see the extent of that data better. So we're seeing that X and Y coordinate for the top, the right, the bottom, and the left. And you can see where it's missing areas from the city of Chula Vista. So in setting environments allows us to tell our geoprocessing tools where we want it to set the max and min, or the extent coordinates. So we can say we actually want to match the extent of the Chula Vista boundary. And we can pull up these values and see that we've switched from our default to our Chula Vista extents. You can also enter these in manually. I do like to just pick from the layer. It's a little bit easier than entering all those in manually. And now that we've set this, if we rerun this tool, we'll see we have our new output, and we can go into the symbology, adjust that quickly. Move that around, and we can see now we have the extent of our output has the same rectangle as the extent of our Chula Vista data. So this will allow us to be able to analyze areas we wouldn't have had data on if we hadn't set that extent.